It's slightly ridiculous. When I last edited and published one of these vlogs, the footage was from May, and now suddenly it's August. At the start of this year, maybe even the end of last year, we were approached by BBC Three to create the graphics for the opening of this new TV show, because basically they wanted an explainer video, and I make a lot of explainer videos, that would condense the whole format in 30 seconds, and to do it in a very sort of simplified graphical way, which is again quite a lot of what we do. It was a really interesting experience working with them, but like 95% of what we do is closed behind doors. Companies keep it to themselves, so to actually have something that we worked on so hard, like suddenly be on the telly, it's amazing.
Blah, blah, blah. What's she talking about?
Welcome to the stage, your host for this evening, Mr. Steve Fuller.
Here we are. We are back in the car park of dreams. High action going on in the car park today. Halfway through June, and I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. There's lots of client work at the beginning of this week, but also I need to finish off a talk I'm giving, because Thursday is National Freelancers Day, and I'm doing a talk about podcasting and doing the Being Freelance podcast live at their main event. So this morning, the plan was to record Doing It for the Kids podcast and then work a little bit on my slides for my talk before doing client work. But actually, when I started doing the slides, I really got into it. Like, I was really in the zone. So in the end, that's all I did, and I finished it, and I've even rehearsed it. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, I think sometimes when you're in the flow, just go with it. Be more productive that way. I've finished the Doing It for the Kids podcast, done the client work I needed to do, sent off an invoice. Now I need to send my slides that I'm going to work on tomorrow. I've also got a pack. It is 5 to 11. My talk in here isn't until 11:30, but I thought since it's empty, I would come and make sure it all works. But so far it's been really nice. Basically spent the last 2 hours chatting to people from the Being Freelance community, or people I've met in the past, or people I've met online but not met before. Like last year I maybe knew about 3 people, and this year I know loads. It was really nice to switch off that weekend, because I had really been working very hard leading up to that, focusing on giving that talk as well as getting client work done. Another week, another month. It is July. doing a Facebook Live from the garden this morning with Kate Toon. She is in Australia. I've got my new fancy camera. Then I've got the big umbrella to create a bit of shade. Not because I don't want to sit in the sunshine, but cameras struggle if it's like a mixture. You know, like how like your face might be in the shade, but your body's in the sunlight. So I wanted to get rid of that. And then this umbrella is just to block for sunlight from hitting my laptop so that it doesn't overheat, frankly. And then when July came around, when I wanted to be winding down ahead of the August holiday, like last year I took all of August off, I found loads of clients putting demands on me, and I've realised that actually whilst it is possible for me to turn some stuff down, some stuff I feel like I can't, because I'm kind of integral to it. Marge has turned 40. I know, who would have thought it? And she's trying to raise £40,000 for Alzheimer's Research UK by getting 40 runners to do the Great North Run, 40 by 40. So I've decided that for the rest of July, if you buy a Being Freelance mug, I will put 40% of that sale towards their fund. That was the final conversation for Being Freelance that I need to record for this season. That was with Mel Chadwick, who I've been following online for the last few years, and I've been watching her YouTube channel and really enjoying it. And seriously, it really felt like I knew her already. Really weird, isn't it? Like, just by watching somebody's YouTube videos, you can really feel like you know them. That's a powerful thing for us trying to get people to work with us. It really does work. I feel like I know Mel. So yes, so we're not going to be doing this for a couple of weeks. Frankie was aware of that. I'm not quite sure why she just...
Please hold.
Yet another box going out this morning. Do you know, it's funny, in selling these mugs, it's made me realise the cost to everything that goes into selling a product. So for example, the box, the stickers, packaging tape, the tissue paper that's inside it. You start to realise the cost of all of this stuff. So, you know, if I put big strips of tape everywhere, actually that all adds up. And I don't mean that in a really tight way. I just remember listening to a podcast with a toy manufacturer once, and she was discussing the way that they went into every little seam that went into making these dolls' clothes to try and figure out the best way to make sure they were making enough money on each doll. And also you realise that, you know, there are sometimes, you know, you get a mug like this which is chipped, and now I can't sell that. And I become conscious of it, and I realise that actually if I was making this a proper business, then I would really have to calculate all of that really closely and scrutinise it in order to turn a profit. Realise that you're not going to sell every mug, for example, that you've made. Some will get damaged, some simply won't be bought, but you've already spent money into it. And it occurs to me that actually that's a bit like us as freelance businesses. How many of us actually analyse the costs that go into every project that we work on? Are we really considering the costs and billing for that stuff? Not necessarily telling the client that we're billing, but factoring it into our costs in the first place. The time spent packaging things up, the time spent creating stuff you're never going to sell. You know, client projects that you've put a lot of time into at pitch side of things, and then they never come off. And then all the little things, the packing tape of our businesses, like our Dropbox and our Gmail subscriptions and Adobe Cloud subscriptions and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's the chipped mugs. There's the day when you're off sick or on holiday. If you run a product business, you have to be on top of every single bit of cost that goes into that product. But I'm not so sure that we are when we're selling our services. So I was meant to receive 3 voiceovers for 3 animations that we have to finish by the end of this week, but they haven't come through. So I'm recording the voice tracks for the animator to work from, and then we'll replace them later. So yet again, trying to reduce the echo in this room, I realised I had this behind my desk from when I ordered extra packaging for all those mugs. And so I created an artificial roof. Had the day off with the kids today, but my wife was working from home, which meant she was around much earlier than normal. So what I decided to do was come into the office at 4 p.m. and just work all evening. So I've basically given myself a bonus day of work, because tomorrow in theory is my last day to get everything done. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Got here at 4 o'clock. I mean, let's face it, if I stay here till 10, that's like a full working day. Just shutting down, and it's 20 to 11, is that? But I'm so glad, because I have 8 videos that absolutely have to be finished tomorrow ahead of going on holiday, and I have done 7 of them. I mean, for client review, so no doubt there'll be changes, but nevertheless, I started this evening with just 1. I don't know how, but I've managed to do it. All of the videos I needed to do are now online. I don't feel like I've really embraced being with the kids for the first few weeks of their school holidays, but I've done what I was expected to for my clients.
And now we're here. Can't honestly say I'm going to be able to switch off in the same way as I did last year, but it feels really good to be away.
1,000 BFFs in the Being Freelance community. Come on!
But honestly, I've also learnt lessons about what I'd rather do better next year. I really want to make sure that next year I try and figure out how to clear August again.
Maybe as freelancers it's almost impossible to switch off. Work just keeps washing up on your brain again.